Happy Sunday, July 7th to everyone out there. Welcome back to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. Today's video is going to be characterized by heat and humidity building across the United States. We're going to dive into all the details that you need to know, also with storms, as well as we have a lot of storm energy around from the heat and humidity as well. And big news headlines here, Hurricane Beryl making landfall in Texas. We're going to dive into everything that you need to know with Hurricane Beryl making landfall and what it will bring to the United States as far as impacts, its path, and its track of the storm, and everything that you need to know in the video. So looking here right now at the geopotential height here across the United States, basically what this shows is a ridge of high pressure across the desert southwest with these deep reds, and you can see another one over here into portions of the southeast coast. A little dip in the middle of the country. That is called the trough, and that is actually bringing some cooler temperatures to the northern tier of the United States today. So let's look here at all of the weather alerts across the country. We have widespread heat headlines, heat advisories, heat watches, heat warnings across the west, a few heat advisories across portions of the Gulf Coast down there toward Florida, and as well over here towards West Texas and southern New Mexico. Otherwise, it's flood watches and hurricane warnings across portions there of coastal Texas in anticipation of a landfall here. So let's first talk about the here and now. Let's look at the afternoon high temperatures. You can see it's very hot across the west, temperatures into the triple digits out there, the 90s further to the south, and wonderful high temperatures this afternoon across southern Canada and the northern tier of the United States. And you actually look at the heat index. This is what the real feel like temperatures will be with the moisture content in the atmosphere. So as you walk outdoors, this is actually what it's going to feel like. Triple digits across the desert southwest and triple digits widespread across the deep south near the Gulf Coast and up the portions of the southeast coast into the mid-Atlantic coast as well. Look it up to the north though. You can see temperatures and those heat index values really not that much more different than the temperatures out there. So that is some good news. Now, with the heat and humidity building across the west, we have to worry about fire weather concerns. In the orange, those are elevated fire weather concerns from Nevada all the way back here into northwestern New Mexico. We have critical fire weather concerns into southern and southeastern Utah today. So make sure open burning out here is to a minimum because that could definitely spread quickly into those big wildfires. We don't want that. And looking at the heat and humidity as well from a different perspective, it's going to be leading to a lot of that storm energy out there. You can see those brighter colors in the middle of the country there. We do have a slight risk of severe weather down toward the Red River Valley, portions of the eastern Texas Panhandle, North Texas, and into southern portions of Oklahoma. This is mainly going to be for damaging winds, some large hail, and possibly a tornado, but it's less than 2% up there. The tornado threat is more tied to Hurricane Beryl's landfall into the Houston area, into Beaumont, and over here toward Lake Charles as we go through the afternoon and the evening. So this afternoon, we have scattered storms developing across the middle of the country with all that storm energy that we're just showing you. That will lead to some scattered pockets of showers and storms, a few of which could be severe, especially down here into Oklahoma and North Texas. As we go into the evening, we have a little bit of some thunderstorm activity organizing into the Hawkeye state of Iowa, northern Missouri, western Illinois. I don't think the severe weather threat will be that high up there. I think it's mainly a heavy rainfall threat as well as some lightning up there. Again, when thunder roars, go indoors. And then as we go into early Monday morning, just some scattered storms developing literally from southeastern Colorado, northeast New Mexico, all the way back over here towards Chicago, Milwaukee, and even La Crosse, Wisconsin. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. Otherwise, all the precipitation is going to be tied to Hurricane Beryl's landfall as it makes landfall in central portions of coastal Texas. So looking here at the rainfall amounts through the day and into tonight, the heaviest pockets of rain will be from southern Iowa into northern Missouri, otherwise back here into Oklahoma. And then, of course, the heaviest of the rains in the U.S. today will actually be, again, tied to Hurricane Beryl's landfall down here into portions of central coastal Texas. And looking here at the flash flooding potential today, there is a marginal slight risk of flash flooding here stretching from the Midwest back here toward the Red River Valley and the Southern Plains. Another marginal risk here in the southeast coast. We do have high pressure over here, but when you hit convective temperature, we have those clouds go up. We start to see a couple hours of some afternoon storms here every once in a while, and then those clouds start to dwindle as we lose the daytime heating and the instability. but they could produce some heavy rainfall, so something we'll watch for the Carolinas, Georgia, Alabama, and North Florida. Now let's look here at Tropical Storm Beryl. This is starting to organize more off the coast of Texas, and looking at its path and its wind history as well, going all the way back to the main development region before it even got to the Windward Islands here. It was already a hurricane, a Category 5 hurricane in the eastern portions of the Caribbean, moving over southern portions of Jamaica with those hurricane force winds, over portions of the Cayman Islands, and then it had a lot of land interaction with the Yucatan, breaking it up and then weakening it back to a tropical storm. And that's currently what it is now. You can see a closer view of this storm is that the convection is more heavy on the eastern and the southern part of the storm. Currently, we have some rain bands trying to move up there toward coastal Texas, currently from Houston down to Corpus Christi, the Victoria area, and Brownsville, Texas. We do have tropical storm warnings that are in effect from northeast Mexico all the way up here to the Texas-Louisiana state line. Hurricane warnings, though, just outside the Houston area all the way down through Corpus Christi, as we are expecting hurricane force impacts across those areas. Here's the latest advisory from the National Hurricane Center in Miami, Florida, keeping it as a strong tropical storm. Max sustained winds at 65 miles per hour. Movement is northwest at 10 miles per hour. So over the past 24 hours or so, it has slowed down on its approach to Texas. But with that slowing trend, that'll give it more time to strengthen as those shelf waters are pretty warm right there near the coast of Texas. So a Category 1, possibly even a Category 2 hurricane is in the cards, though, as this makes landfall sometime Monday morning, weakening back to a tropical storm Monday evening as it moves over the Tyler, Texas vicinity, and then up there into the Texarkana area and the Arklatex region. Tuesday morning to a tropical depression and then a post-tropical cyclone as it moves up there towards southern Illinois. So looking here at the latest guidance that we have that just off the coast of Texas today. It's going to make landfall Monday morning, bringing very heavy rain and a localized tornado outbreak potential on the eastern side of the system for Tyler, Texas, all the way down to Houston. So if you live in those areas, might want to watch out for some tornado potential there. Wouldn't even rule out a stronger tornado with this system with a lot of wind shear activated. And then as we go into Tuesday, more of a heavy rainfall threat from the Arklatex all the way up here into the mid-Mississippi Valley. Wednesday, Chicago, Indianapolis, Detroit, you need to be watching for heavy rain, some flooding rains there as we go into Wednesday, the middle of the week, as we have more unsettled weather out there. So let's look here at the first impacts with this system. The peak storm surge forecast from the National Hurricane Center, 1 to 3 foot storm surge here from Rockefeller Wildlife Refuge all the way back to the Sabine Pass, 3 to 5 foot storm surge from the Sabine Pass all the way back here toward Galveston Bay. From Galveston Bay all the way down here towards portions of Mesquite Bay, we have up to 6 foot storm surge possible there, and then it drops off further to the south you go, especially as you get down toward the mouth of the Rio Grande. That's where we have storm surge possibly still up to 3 feet down there. So watching out near the coast there with some flooding and inland flooding as well. This system is going to bring a lot of tropical moisture. So widespread rainfall totals from Houston down toward Corpus Christi there of anywhere from 8 to 12 plus inches. There could be a couple localized areas over a foot of rain. Very heavy rain along and east of the I-35 corridor here in Texas. This is for Tyler, Texas, all the way up here toward Texarkana, down into the Beaumont region here and just east of Waco. A lot of these areas in the yellow and oranges, that's 6 to 8 inches worth of rain. Very heavy rains, then spreading up toward Fort Smith, Arkansas, Little Rock, Springfield, Missouri, St. Louis, Springfield, Illinois. Those areas could start to see anywhere from 2 to as much as 4 inches of rain through that Wednesday timeframe midweek. So let's walk you through the flash flooding potential. Today, moderate risk. That means numerous flash floods are likely across central coastal Texas as we go through today. Moderate risk across all of East Texas as we go into tomorrow. On Monday, slight risk extending up there into central Arkansas to the Fort Smith and also the Little Rock area, so we'll keep an eye on that. St. Louis, you're right in the middle of that slight risk for flash flooding on Tuesday. That extends back down into northern Arkansas. Also up there into south central Illinois, and then that slight risk for flash flooding on Wednesday extends up there into lower Michigan, northern Indiana. So Fort Wayne down toward Indianapolis, Detroit into the Kalamazoo area, Grand Rapids, and all the way up here into portions there of northeastern lower Michigan. Have to watch that. Another slight risk over here in interior New England on Wednesday. Beyond that, next week is going to be a hot week out west. We have a lot of temperature anomalies that are up to 20, 25 degrees above normal for this time of year here across the west. A little cooler in the middle of the country, and obviously that's because of the cloud cover and the precipitation from Tropical Storm and eventually becoming Hurricane Beryl moving across the middle of the country. So walking you through the temperatures next week, Monday going to be a cool day across the north central U.S. Definitely get outside and enjoy it. Hot temperatures out east, hot temperatures out west, and all across the south there. Wednesday, some of the heat starts to build a little bit further to the north and east, so the Midwest is starting to warm up, not too much, but into the 80s. And then by the time we get into the Friday time frame, well into the 80s for the north, and a lot of heat building across the Rockies, the Great Plains, and the Deep South. A lot of 90s returning there, and heat index values obviously several degrees higher than this, so triple-digit heat index values by Friday, July 12th, will be likely across the plains down here into the Dixie Alley region and parts of the lower Ohio River Valley. And all of the precipitation for the most part next week, Monday, July 8th through Friday, July 12th, will likely be tied to the remnants of Tropical Storm, or if not Hurricane Beryl, that moves up from East Texas all the way into the Ohio, Tennessee River Valley and up here into the Great Lakes region. Maybe some moisture here into the southeast coast from Florida up through the Carolinas, Georgia, and into Virginia. Otherwise, the Rockies, the Great Plains, and out west really dry as we go into next week. So let's look out west first. Barely a drop of rain for many of us. Washington State, Oregon, Idaho, Nevada, California, Utah, Arizona, Wyoming, you name it, Montana. Barely seeing any rainfall next week. The middle of the country, again, this is tied to the moisture and tropical remnants there of Beryl that'll move across the middle of the country. This could wobble back and forth here from west and east over the next couple of days, but in general, if you get under this, some very heavy rain. Otherwise, we'll miss out across the Dakotas, Nebraska, and parts of Kansas next week, and then some heavier rains in pockets across the eastern U.S. next week as well. A little bit of some tropical moisture for Virginia, the Delmarva region, all the way down to the Carolinas, coastal Georgia and Florida. A little bit of some dry weather in between here across portions of the Tennessee Valley into Dixie Alley, but the northern part of the Tennessee Valley, especially up there in the Ohio Valley vicinity, the Great Lakes and interior New England, and then eventually southeastern Canada, that's where the remnants of the tropical moisture and tropical storm will be. So that's where the heaviest rainfall amounts will be. Going into next weekend here, Saturday, July 13th, and a week from today, Sunday, July 14th, look at that big high pressure system here, almost like a donut hole across the Four Corners region. Very hot temperatures will be moving east as we go in towards next weekend. So a lot of North America, a lot of the U.S. will be seeing well above normal temperatures. You can see that Saturday. Look at all the 80s, 90s, triple digits across the United States. That continues into Sunday. And what this is going to do, lift that storm track, that active storm track further north into southern Canada. So that's where all the precipitation, at least the significant precipitation, will be tied to. Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Ontario, and Quebec, maybe the upper Great Lakes region. Otherwise, we're going to have to rely on any tropical features and just those popcorn afternoon storms to pop up here with convective temperature to get a shower or storm as we go into next weekend. So thank you all for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel down below to keep covered of the latest on Tropical Storm and Hurricane Beryl, the heat and humidity, the rounds of storms across the country. We will keep you covered right here on Weather on the Go. A new weather forecast will be out for you tomorrow. Make sure to give the video a like with a thumbs up down below. Leave any comments, questions, and concerns below. We'll get to those later on today. My name is Hunter with Weather on the Go, and I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their weekend out there.